Good morning, I'm Greg Hawk. I'm here to tell you another treasure story. If you hear the roosters in the background, don't pay any attention to it. It's early in the morning. Anyway, I call this treasure story the Lost Ivanpah Silver Mine. And what it was, or silver vein, back in 1869, a fellow was given some copper ore by an Indian chief out here around Clark Mountain, south of Las Vegas. And he went out there and he searched for it, and he figured he found the copper deposit, so he went to California, got some backers, raised some money to come out and explore and try to start mining copper. And he called the company the Paiute Company. And he came out here and they started looking, and they actually found some very rich, high-grade silver veins. So they started mining that straight away because, copper was kind of, became a secondary to them at that point. Well, they started mining it, and by 1872, there was a town of 300 miners and whatever out called Ivanpah and Ivanpah Springs. And it was close to Willow Springs. That's where they got the water when they first come here. Then they went ahead and developed their own spring there. Well, that was 1872, and they started really mining really heavily. Well, by 1875, the town was down to 100, and by 1882, it was deserted. Well, one part of the story is that they were going back in on a silver vein, and it was 90% pure. And they'd blast, and they go in and take out some more, then do another blast and keep taking out more ore. So they made a blast one time and went in and take it out, and they hit a shear in the mountain, and the vein disappeared. Well, they looked and looked and couldn't find it, and even the mining company offered $100,000 reward if anybody could find a continuation of that vein. Well, there were no takers on it. Well, pretty much like I said, the operation, the silver shut down at that time. Later on, they developed the copper in the 1890s. It was called the Copper World Mine. Anyway, it became the fourth largest producer of copper in the country at that time. Years later, an old guy was a miner and mining surveyor, who was the father of John, who I mentioned in my book, and he told me this whole story. And he said his father was riding out across Mesquite Lake, the dry lake bed, and to go do some surveying work on a mine. And he stopped by to see his old friend Miguel, who ran a stage station out on Mesquite Lake, just to say hi to him. Well, they got to talking, and Miguel says, he says, I found this real rich silver vein. I think it might be in the same vein structure as the Ivanpah. And he says, what I want you to do is file that claim for me. He says, and I'll give you 50% of what comes out of it. He says, I can't file it because I'm not a U.S. citizen. Well, John's father said, okay, but I'll have to do it in a couple of weeks. He says, I gotta go do this job, and I'll come back and I'll file that claim for you. Well, when he returned in a couple of weeks, Miguel wasn't there at the stage station. Couldn't find him, so he went to town, and I guess Miguel took sick and went to town and died. So before he left to go do that work, though, Miguel told him, it's right up the canyon, right around the bend, and you can't quite see it from the stage station. That's the only directions Miguel ever gave him. Well, years later, he told his son, John, the story. Well, John was born in a mining camp somewhere around Nipton, California. It was an old mining camp, had a railroad siding coming into it, and since that time it's disappeared. But anyway, John has told me the story, and I mentioned John in my book, Random Tangents, telling me about these different stories. And this is one I think was pretty true because his father passed it down to him. And John told me, he said he went out there and looked several times around that canyon and never found anything. He was looking for like a shaft or some kind of a tunnel. And he said, Miguel probably didn't have a very big prospect pit or anything. He probably just had a little prospect, and he said, I never could find it. So that was around 1993 he told me the story. So for about 7 or 8 years, when I get time in the winter time, early spring, I'd go out there, maybe camp out for a little bit, walk around, see if I could find a stage station, where the ruins were. And John said it pretty much disappeared because they graded the roads through there. And I mean, it had been over 100 years almost since it was there. And then I'd hike up the canyon where he pointed it out on the old topo map that he had. Well, I did find an old antique bottle out there about half buried in the sand. It was really in pretty good shape, and some other glass pieces. And I think I was pretty close to where the stage station was. So I looked up the canyon that John pointed out, and I could see kind of some black outcrop rock coming down. And I thought, man, maybe just around that corner there was maybe where the area is. So I looked and looked and never did find anything. But I enjoyed camping out anyway, and under the stars, you can't beat that. Well, that was about 2002 when I quit looking at it. I went and started building dams and so on. But anyway, about 2012, I had some time off, and a guy I knew, he was interested in a treasure store. I said, come on, let's go out and have a look for the silver vein again. So we did. We went out there, and we looked for it. We was out there for, 4 or 5 days, and the last day I said, you know, I'm going up this one side canyon, up higher than I've ever been. I said, this is the last day, this is the last shot. So I hiked up around these big rocks and climbed up this dry wash up this canyon. I noticed a piece of ore, looked like laying on the old dry stream bed. So I looked at it, and I went a little further, found another piece, and pretty good size. I thought, well, I got to be close. So I climbed up a little bit above me on the left-hand side, and by darn, there was a cut right into that face, and there was an old tin bucket, and it looked like a cigarette tin laying there. And the bucket rested out a little bit in the bottom, but you got to know it was high desert, so you don't get much moisture up here and things don't deteriorate. So I figured it was probably Miguel's bucket and his old cigarette tin there. So I'm pretty sure this was a place where Miguel thought that 90% pure silver vein was. Well, I remembered that, you know, the area and everything. So what I want to do, I want to take you out there. I want to show you on this video the old Ivanpah Springs where the Ivanpah town was. And we'll go by and look at a couple mines. Then I'll take you around and bring you in through Sandy Valley out across Mesquite Lake bed to the area where John thought the stage station was. And then we'll go hiking up the canyon, and I'll show you exactly where this digging was. I went looking for the Ivanpah Mine, and there's several mines named Ivanpah. Ivanpah 5, 6, 7, 8, 11, 12, 15, 16. But they're all copper, zinc, gold mines. So the only one that stuck out was the Ivanpah Clark Mountain, and it was silver. And there's all the coordinates for these mines. I didn't make it back to that mine though, the Ivanpah Clark Mountain. Okay, this is the Nipton Road coming down here off I-15 south of Las Vegas over on the California side. Okay, down here was around Nipton and Barnwell. The actual stage station I was talking about was probably about 12 miles or so south of Nipton by the way the crow flies. Anyway, the stagecoach route probably came up, I'm thinking this way, to over around State Line and went on down and followed this route, and I think it dropped down State Line Pass and down onto the lake bed and over to where I believe the stage station was. That's where John pointed out on the map. Okay, the other route could have been this way down about where the power line road is and come up through Mesquite Pass and down. I don't know quite sure. I never did find any route maps. But anyway, that was kind of the stagecoach route. First today we're going to take you out and we're going to show you, get off here at this exit here, first one south of Prim, which is Prim Valley golf course is here, and you got all these solar panels. But I'm going to take you out and show you some mines. We're going to get off here and you stay on this road. It's called the Coliseum Mine Road. And you keep following those signs, and it'll finally turn into gravel, kind of why. I'll show you that. And we're going to go out, and I'm going to take you and show you Ivanpah Springs, okay? And we'll have a look at that, and where some of the ruins are. Then I'll run on up and I'll take you up and show you the Coliseum mine. And it was a large iron mine, and it's called the Coliseum. It looked like a Coliseum. It's a big open pit mine. I want to show you, we'll just do a quick drive around, see if I can't get over to Stonewall Mine. Some of that's four-wheel drive country up in here. Okay, we come to a little Y in the road here. It's paved to right and left. It turns into gravel, and that's where we have to go. It says the Coliseum Road public access to our left. So we're going to go on the gravel road here and head back into the mountains. It's going to be a little bit slow going here. Road's a little bit rough. Wouldn't be any place for a car probably. This is the road back into the Coliseum mine. We're coming to our first little intersection here. We just want to bear to the right. Okay, and we got about another 1.4 miles to go. We may turn off to the left and check out Ivanpah Springs. Oh, we come back far enough now. We're just getting into the hills. We need to bear off to the left here to get back to Ivanpah Springs. It's called Green Wells Road. So we're going to take a little left off here and go back here and have a look. Need to bear to the right here. Stay out of the creek bed. Looks like we got about another half mile to go. I'm supposedly at Ivanpah Springs, or Ivanpah, where the town used to be. I GPS my way back here on my phone. So if you type in Ivanpah Springs, it should bring you right back here. If you see in the background the old solar field out there. So we're going to walk around here real quick and look at some of these runs. You'll see a lot of black plastic pipe around here from the spring probably. There's no watering trough. And there's an area fenced off over here. I think there's probably an old shaft or maybe even a well here. When you see these old stone buildings, this one was carved back into the hillside, right into the rock. Some more stone runs up there. We'll go over here and look. Looks like there's some type of shaft here. I don't know if it was a well or a mine shaft. Not much left of this old structure up here. Might have been a little bit of a mill up here at one time to mill some of their ore. If you notice the bolts sticking out some of the concrete and the way this is kind of gravity fed from one level to the next. Just kind of a scan of the area here. Farther up on the hillside up there, looks like some more runs. We'll hike up there in just a minute. At one time there's supposedly 300 people living back in here for a short period of time when the mines were active. I don't know if you can see on the far hill over there. Looks like some wild burros. 3 of them over there. Looks like I got a whole herd of these wild burros back here. They're about everywhere. There's gotta be 20 of them around here. A little skittish. They don't like people too well. There's a little one. Right behind him. Looks like
Used to be a little mine shaft right there. And looks like out of the side of the hill here is running a little water. So that's what they're up here for. This little bit of water in this area. A little bit of shade is cooler right here. Let's head up to the top of it and see what's up there. This is private property. They got it fenced off probably because there's a mine shaft or the shaft for the water or something up there. But you can see the water coming right out the side of the hill here. Okay. I've hiked up the hill here a little bit from down below. There is a shaft right up here. And looking down into it, it's full of water. So the spring must be filling us. And I see PVC pipes running down the hill from here. So that's probably where they pipe water on down to some other troughs. Just a quick panoramic view up here. So turn around, you can see burrows over there, and there's another old road coming in. Burrows on the side of the hill over there, must be a dozen of them. Look on down the way. This I drove in up this horse for a ways, but you best have four-wheel drive to get back in here. And there's the runs back where I originally went to over there. So this is probably where it was, Ivanpah, the town of Ivanpah Springs. So anyway, it's a good little trip up here and a good little walk around. All right, let's go on back to Coliseum Road and head over to Coliseum Mine. Yeah, we're heading up the hill up to the Coliseum Mine. I just thought I'd give you a quick shot of what it looks like going up this grade. Okay, we finally made it up here to the Coliseum Mine. I'm just kind of scanning the area. There's some big rocks here. Then there's a fence with a gate. We'll see what we can walk up here and see if we can't see down in there a little ways. This was supposedly a large iron mine. That's what it said. It's quite massive. Open pit. And it looked like somebody cut the fence back there next to the gate, so I just walked on in here. Just happened to look at it this way. There's an ATV winding down the road down there to the bottom. See three people coming out. But anyway, you can have a different look at the mine here, down in the bottom. Looks like there's grasses on it growing around the edges of it. I'm at the upper part of the Coliseum Mine. See my truck clear to the other side over there. Somebody made it through the gate. They've got an ATV there. But you can see why they call it the Coliseum Mine. It's all these different stair-step levels going through here. Quite a massive mine. And it looks like a pretty nice pool of water down on the bottom. Okay, I left the Coliseum Mine. I'm heading on the road towards the Power Line Road. Alongside the road here is some more runs. I thought I'd stop, take a shot, and give you some GPS coordinates. And I've also noticed there's a PVC line running all the way down this road carrying water to somewhere. Anyway, I'm going to give you the GPS coordinates on this real quick so you know where along the road it is. Okay? Here's the coordinates right there. Run. Yeah, I just come up the canyon here to the Stonewall Mine. You can see the tailing piles down there and the road coming up. More tailing piles. I had to turn my truck around right here because I get this far and I looked on up and that road is completely gone up there, so there's no way I could go any higher. But you see more tailing piles up there, the mine's up there. This was a copper mine and it went for some time. Okay, our next stop is going to be where we park at the bottom of the canyon and hike up to Miguel's prospect where we found the silver vein. But I'm going to give you a few directions along the way. You might want to copy these down. These are the coordinates. of where I parked the truck, the rock point, and Miguel's Prospect. But anyway, we're going to go over back to Jean, Nevada, and go west on Sandy Valley Road, all the way into Sandy Valley, and stay on it to come to Kingston Road. It'll turn into Kingston Road. Go to the end of the pavement, turn left 4.2 miles, and then you'll come to a sign about a mining operation. At that sign, go right, bear to the right, and you'll be on Mesquite Pass Road for 3 miles till you come to an intersection with the perimeter road. Prior to getting there, you'll have a mill site and a little shaft on your left-hand side, and then on the right-hand side will be an old corral, and that was close to where the stage station was at one time. When you get to the intersection, turn right approximately 1 mile, and that's where we're going to park, not do our hike up the mountain. Okay, we're parked off the side of the road here. I'm going to walk up this canyon. We're heading up there where that dark ridge protrudes out from the mountain there. That's actually a limestone cap over this part of the mountain here. It's a weathered limestone, and I'll tell you more about it here in a minute. Okay, this is a weathered limestone here. It was part of the lake bed thousands, millions of years ago, and it was shoved up when this mountains came up. But as you can see, it's weathered, and they got a nickname for it. It's called terrapant. Because if you fall on this, you'll tear your pants, you take the hide off your arms, and it's real rough on shoes. It'll wear your shoes right out, but it's like little serrated edges all over it. And if you fall, it will tear you up. So I just wanted to point this out. It's kind of a neat feature out here, but just be careful if you ever come out here walking on this stuff. It's very dangerous. Okay, finally made it up here to this rock point where this weathered limestone is. I'll tell you a little bit about that. From there, we're going to go on up to the right to the face of that mountain. There's a canyon going up alongside that to our left. There's a lot of big boulders, everything as we go up that canyon. So I'll take a few pictures as we go. We walk past the point, walk back, stream bed, and we're getting ready to go up that canyon right there. And the rocks are starting to get big, so it's going to be some pretty tough hiking going up there. So we'll take a few shots on the way up. Well, it's starting to get a little bit tougher here. You can see it's pretty good sized rock. I got to work my way around to get on up the canyon here. Pretty rough going up here. A little bit rugged. You have to watch your footing. We come up quite a ways, and it's been pretty rough. See here, panning around, we still got a little ways to go, and it's still pretty rough country. So this may be the first piece here. I'm not for sure. It's got some indication that it might be coming out of a ore body. If you look at it. Let's go on up the works a little bit farther and see if we can't find any more. This looks like another piece right here. It looks like it's heavy and iron. It's a real dark brown. So let's go on up a little bit further and see what we can find. Okay, it looks like there's another piece right to the left bottom of that big rock. I'll have to get around this or going up this way to get past it. We're getting pretty close, I believe. Okay, here's a closer up view of it. Just above where that big rock was, I climbed on up, and here there's a piece of ore laying right here on the rock. Another right over here. So this is pretty close. We look over to the right here and up. There's a digging right there. It's a prospect hole, and that's where Miguel was taking these samples. Okay. Here's another pretty good sized peace line nest to his prospect hole here. We can look on up the canyon, kind of around and look down. So you can see it's a pretty good climb up here, especially the last little bit. This is the main structure. I want to take a little water, see if I can't wash it off a little bit. Let me bring some of the highlights out of it. But anyway, this is what I think Miguel was after. He was taking a look at this, taking pieces out of it, and thinking that this was the start of that rich silver vein, which he thought was 90% pure. I've never taken samples of it, but when I was up here 10 years ago with a guy who wanted to come with me, we actually found a bucket and an old cigarette tin up here, left here, probably Miguel's from 110 years ago. A bucket had rusted out a little bit in the bottom, but since it's high desert, you don't get a lot of deterioration up here. But there was an old bucket and an old cigarette tin up here. So I believe this is a place that Miguel wanted a claim set on. So we climbed up here today, and it's taken me about an hour and a half. You can see it's a little bit damp up here. I've gotten damp. It was 75 degrees when I started down below at 6:30. It's now 8 o'clock. So anyway, it's a pretty tough climb up if you ever want to come up this way and see some country. Okay, it's 9:30. We made it back. It's a 3-hour round trip. So it was 75 degrees when I left. It's 81 degrees now. There's a lot of overcast out here today, which is great. We didn't want to get any warmer than this. And you notice I always wear a long sleeve cotton shirt, long pants, good hiking boots, cover your ankles, because you go up through this country and the cactus, the cat claw, the acacia, everything that wants to bite you is going to get you. And oftentimes wear gloves just to work my way through some of the tougher brush. But anyway, the long sleeve shirts is good because if you do perspire, that cotton soaks it up, and when it evaporates, it helps cool you. If you didn't have long sleeve shirts on, your moisture from your body just dissipates and you'll dehydrate a lot faster. So always remember though to take plenty of water with you and take your time, plan your route, especially through rough rocks and country. Always go 10-20 yards, look again where you plan your route so you don't take any missteps, and just take your time, all right, because you don't want to twist an ankle up there or break a leg. So anyway, that's good. We're going to head back to Good Springs, over to the Pioneer Saloon. That's one of the oldest saloons in Nevada. It's probably over 100 years old. I'll tell you more about it when we get it over there. There's some history there. So we'll sign off for now. I'll see you over at Good Springs. Behind me is the Pioneer Saloon up here in Good Springs, Nevada. This is one of the oldest saloons in Nevada. It's over probably 100 years old. And Good Springs was developed as a little mining camp back around 1900s. A couple tents here and a little building, and as it progressed along 1905, 1910, they started building up and they named it Good Springs. 1942, Carol Lombard, who was a movie actress, rode a train from Indiana. She's selling war bonds to Las Vegas. She's supposed to continue into Los Angeles. Well, she decided to take a plane. She was married to Clark Gable at the time. And she talked to her mother and her agent, ended up jumping a plane out of Las Vegas and flying to Los Angeles. There was 15 young airmen on board. Well, they left that evening in the dark and the plane took off. Well, everything, the beacons and everything were shut off because at that time airports were black. During the war, they wouldn't allow lights on. Well, the plane got off course and hit Potosi Mountain and killed everybody. So Good Springs was kind of the operations place where everybody's operating out of, going and retrieve all the dead and everything. There's a room behind the bar. It's got a lot of old memorabilia and pictures. We'll have a quick look at that, and then I'll show you the rest of the bar. There's a quite large area here. So it's worth coming up on a weekend and having a look, having a beer, having a steak, whatever.